journey enthusiasts, how are you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're all well. So something a little bit different this week. We've got a few updates coming on Project Bolt, the track car that myself and Mark built in the winter of 2017. So if you've been a subscriber to the channel for a while, I'm sure you'll know Project Bolt pretty well. But yeah, it was mine and Mark's first big project really, first restoration together. And we've had a fair bit of use out of it. It's probably done about 8 or 10 track days. And each year so far it's come off the road over the winter. And it's had a few modifications done to the engine. Each time it gets a little bit faster on the track. So it's one of those things, it was quick to begin with, but you soon get used to the power and you find yourself wanting to go a little bit faster and push it a little bit more. So it started out with 120 brake horsepower and it's having some upgrades now which will take it to pretty much 140 brake horsepower, but it's had other modifications done as well to the gearbox and the drivetrain, so the way it delivers the power is entirely different. And even when it was first done, it was lapping Brands Hatch in just under a minute on the Indy circuit, so really excited to see how quick it's going to be after these modifications. I'm sure it's going to be great fun to drive.
Right, today's or this afternoon's task is so I've got to that freewheel system which controls all the steering wheel controls failed at Castle Combe, so I've got to disconnect that. Send it off for new just some more diodes put in it, because there's been some sort of spike and it's blown one of the diodes in the management system, so I'm just going to take that out, which is going to be a bit of a pain in the bum, but yeah, needs to be sent off. So I'll obviously tape everything up, record what I can, and then send it off, and we're all good then.
So prior to building Project Bolt, myself and Mark had no previous experience with track days really, certainly not running our own car, or Mark's own car anyway. I've done a few sort of track taster sessions and that, but never taken my own car down there and or built a car for a track day, so a bit of a learning experience for both of us here, and we didn't get everything right with various changes being made to Bolt over the last few years, but last outing in it was Castle Combe at the Mini Weld Action Day. It was absolutely pouring with rain, and one of the mistakes that was made during the build was the battery isolator switch wasn't waterproof. It was mounted up on the near side wing, and of course what that meant when it rained, so much spray and water underneath that near side wheel arch, it was just soaking the switch, so that caused electrical problems. And Mark's got a freewheel system in the car which basically allows all the controls on the steering wheel to work wirelessly, so there's no wires to the steering wheel, but all the controls for the indicators, heated rear windscreen, headlights, wipers, etc. are on the steering wheel. Problem is it's quite sensitive to voltage spikes, and of course water getting up into the isolator switch meant it was cutting in and out the battery, which battery acts as a buffer in the system, like a big absorber to absorb voltage spikes. So if you're flicking on and off that switch or simulating that anyway, yeah, you get spikes in the system, and unfortunately it blew the freewheel system. And we've got a bit of experience there because it's happened before as well. So thankfully it can be repaired. So Mark's obviously taking it out, sending it away, getting it repaired, ready for, well, we were hoping to do some more track days in it in 2020, but it looks like we might only get 1 or 2, but finishing it off now to get a track day done in a couple of weeks' time, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm sure Mark is too.
Right, I need to get the engine in, so I need to get it out of the way. It's obviously Swiftune engine. It has had a bit of an upgrade. It was 129, should now be 139 horsepower.
Before I forget, must just give a quick shout out to Paul Jeffries, Classic Mini Garage. You'd have seen him at the start of this video helping to remove the engine, and he's been down a few times to help Mark with the ERA and with Project Bolt, and when it broke a roller rocker at Castle Combe, and Paul was on hand to replace it so it could get back out on the track. But yeah, as Mark's saying, in its current form the engine's 129 brake horsepower, so it's been back to Swiftune at least once after the first build to have some upgrades done.
Yeah, so we've gone for almost a mini Miglia setup now, with an ECU, belt drive, trigger wheel and so on. Upgrade into Hardy Spicers. Yeah, so let's get it in. I need to get it out of the way, or get the engine hoist out of the way, so I'm going to stick it in and I can play with it later.
So time wise, you'd have seen obviously over the last 6 months or so Mark's been doing the ERA and I was doing Project Sprout, so bits on Bolt were kind of going on in the background. Mark was ordering all the bits, getting it all ready, but this is probably the most substantial upgrades that's been done to Project Bolt since it was built, moving to a front mounted radiator, moving the intercooler, distributorless ignition system, which should make it far more reliable. Obviously it makes it all mappable and everything like that as well. And the gearbox has been upgraded to a dog box as well now, with Hardy Spicer joints as opposed to pot joints on the inside, so the drive shafts are physically stronger.
A few bits to put in. Alright, that's it. I've had enough. Right. So I have I'm trying to achieve the impossible. I've got a belt drive and trigger wheel, which means I can't have a radiator on the side. So I've got that going in. So I've had to chop all of this out, all of this bottom bit out. So effectively, radiator sits in like that. So hopefully with some adjustment will go like that, in theory. I've still got to put a fan on it somewhere. I may have to adapt that to bring that out so it sits off, so I can mount the fan on there, or I might be able to mount a couple of little fans on the back there. So it's a bit tight, but I didn't want to have a flip front. Well, I didn't want to do the work and have a flip front. It just seems a lot of work just to fit a radiator in. So on the last edition of Bolt, the oil cooler was there. Obviously because the radiator's gone now, I can't put the oil cooler there now. So I've got this, which I've already pre-drilled, mounts under the subframe like that. So I've already pre-drilled it, so I'm going to get that on.
So I think Mark's done well with this car actually, keeping it a steel front end. And I think he said he didn't want to do it, he didn't want the extra work of fitting a flip front on the front of it, but it does make it more convenient to work on. And like if you get a fiberglass removable front, obviously you save a bit of weight as well. But I'm not convinced. Obviously it does make it easier, but I think it's nicer if you can retain the full steel front. It makes it technically a little bit more difficult to fit things in, and we're kind of probably pushing the limits here of what you can fit under a steel front end. But yeah, it would make it a lot easier to have a flip front on it. Maybe that will come at a later date sometime. So like I said at the beginning, I think there'll definitely be two parts to this because I've already edited two parts. I think the car's going to go down and have a rolling road session to get it properly set up, and then there'll be a track day at Brands Hatch, which I think is booked for the 24th of October. I need to double check. It's a Friday, but yeah, track day, rolling road, and there's another part coming up, and that'll come up this Sunday I think. I'm away all week, kind of getting back to the normal sort of working routine, so I'm not going to get to work on Project TARDIS this week, so we'll get a couple of updates in on Project Bolt. And if you want to go back and check out the build of this car, there is a full playlist, and I'll put some cards or a link up somewhere for that. I was looking back at it earlier actually, and it's only 2.5 years ago, but I cringe at myself on the video now. I just look so wooden. Wasn't very confident. I feel so much more comfortable now being filmed. And just the quality of videos as well. When we started out, Project Bolt was the first sort of proper project we put on YouTube, and it wasn't even videoed, all of it. A lot of it was just photos. We just used to take photos of it and put it into a photo montage. But yeah, it has evolved quite a bit, and it kind of makes me wonder what next. How far can you go with it? As I say, with 139 brake horsepower, dog box, it's very light anyway. It's got all lightweight components on it. It's well set up. What's the next thing? There's only so far you can take a naturally aspirated A series. So I do hope you enjoy these build videos. If you've got any questions, stick them down the bottom, and myself and Mark look at all the questions, and we'll try and get back to you with an answer, or maybe you've got some advice. Let us know what you think of the car. And as always, if you enjoy the content, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, it's free. There's no charge. Hit that subscribe button. It was actually quite nice. You know, this is after lockdown, so it was nice to get down to Mark's, and obviously I've helped finish off the ERA. Nice to help out and get stuck into some stuff. Obviously, thoughts now turn to the next projects on the channel. So, as you've seen, I've started Project TARDIS. I'm well stuck into that now, and it's probably not going to be long before Mark makes a start on his next project, which is a 1973, I might be wrong, I'm sure it's a 1973 Mark III Mini Cooper S, and that will get a full restoration just like the rest of the cars. It's quite funny actually, because I remember when Mark first started building Bolt, and I talked him into buying a distributorless ignition system, a Mega Spark system, and that never got used at the time, because at the time I thought he was going to run front mounted radiator distributorless ignition, but didn't at the time. The engine was, as I say, 120 brake horsepower. It was set up with a distributor and side mounted radiator, so at the time deemed that to be okay, but we have actually upgraded to the point now where it's got distributorless and front mounted, just for the additional cooling really, and obviously electric water pump, which Mark will talk about in a moment.
Alright, so just a quick update, obviously what we've been doing today. So we've fitted the Hardy spicers, put the drive shafts in, put the hubs back on, obviously wheels, new brake pads, carbon metallic, exhaust back on, manifolds. We went for, so I've had the manifolds coated, ceramic coated, just obviously for heat. Obviously Weber's back on. I've fitted all the Craig David water pump, and yes, all the front mounted radiators obviously on, plumbed in. Just got to secure it once we've filled the system up. What else? Yeah, so basically we are ready to fill up with oil, fill up with coolant. I've just got some wiring, so I've got to wire in the Craig David water pump and the management system. and I've also got to get a tiny fan to mount to the radiator, just for when we're in the pit lane and whatever. There's no fan because we've got the belt drive system. And then so I've fitted a new rear screen because the old one wasn't working. I've got a new brake light, high level brake light in. I think there's JT Fabrications. And then I've got door bars to go in. And I've got to sort all the wiring out, excuse the mess. Oh, and I've got the fire suppression system to go in as well. So probably do the wiring next, and then fire suppression system, and then put the door bars in. That is it.